Today we're learning about Angola, and I wanted to start with the flag because this flag is always so striking to me. It stands out so well. So this is the flag, and we're going to learn about what that means later. Starting off, the population of Angola, it's about 39 million. I assume this is one of the countries that's going to grow very rapidly over the next 75 years. So we'll look into that as well. Angola is on the southwest part of Africa, so it's on the Atlantic Ocean, and it has Luanda as the capital. Now, I was looking at some pictures of Luanda. It does have a fairly modern sort of downtown. Yeah, so looking at the capital here, you might think, to me this looks like something you might see in Brazil, or even kind of looks like Miami in a way. So fairly modern looking capital, at least in the kind of the higher end downtown area. So a couple points to note. In 2020, they had 8.3 million inhabitants in Luanda, which it's probably grown since then. It might be 9 million or even more after that. And this was a Portuguese colony. It was among the oldest colonies in Africa. And Luanda was founded in 1576. Once again, comparing it to South America, like this is a church there, and that looks like something you would see in South America somewhere. It just has that tropical colonial look to it. So they gained their independence in 1975, and basically since then, it looks like there's been the Angolan Civil War from 1975 to 2002. Also, check out this land feature. This is called Miradoro da Lua, and this is in the Samba district. So, clearly it's a canyon, and it has some very striking features to it. So looking at these pictures, looks like it has some really nice beach areas. Once again, has that tropical feel. I mean, modern looking city skyline. So the official language, not surprisingly, is Portuguese, considering they were colonized for over 400 years. But there are 46 other languages spoken in the country, mostly Bantu languages. So looking into the flag, it symbolizes the nation's agricultural workers, peasantry, and the armed struggle for independence. So, obviously I figured the machete would have something to do with a war or gaining independence, and they adopted this flag in 1975. And then the cogwheel itself symbolizes the industrial workers and the nation's industrial development. So here's the population pyramid, and as I guessed, they have a very large base, very young population. And you can see the graph on the right. So they're going to go from 39 million presently to 150 million by 2100. So the country's almost going to quadruple by 2100. So in 75 years. So someone young watching this will see Angola's population almost quadruple. So let's just move this forward a few years and just see how that pyramid develops. The thing with these pyramids, these are just estimates. Anything can happen. They could have more wars. There could be increases in technology that could reduce the population growth. So we have no idea what the next 75 years will be like, but these are just estimates. And even in 2100, the country will still be growing, although it does start to kind of slope off some. So I typed in Angola land features just to see, and we've already seen this one. There's a few others here. Let's check out what this is. One fun thing about looking at the countries in this way is you see things you've never seen before. So I'm trying to figure out what this feature is. So this is called Sierra de Leba Hairpin Road, and there's some other features that are pretty cool here. Here's a waterfall. There's also the desert. There's safaris you can do. Some rock bridges. They have their own kind of Christ the Redeemer copy there. Some unique vegetation. So I'm glad to do this because it kind of puts into perspective Angola. We don't really. It's just not part of our daily thinking of what's going on in Angola, and this is kind of something about what's there. So while we're thinking about things to do there, let's look at the best times to visit. All right, so we can see here's the temperature map. clearly very hot most of the year, right? It's that sub-Saharan Africa, very hot. So in the summer, June through September doesn't rain much at all, so I assume that's going to be the best time to visit. Humidity, a lot of the year is spent in this oppressive or miserable category for humidity. So, you don't want to be somewhere where the humidity is considered miserable. Yeah, so as we thought, best time to visit is the summer. So probably July. And if you want to do a trip there, do some safaris, go to the beach, July is going to be a great time to go do that. All right, so we're checking out the Airbnb in case someone did want to go. Looks like this is kind of the higher end area, so let's just click on some here. I mean, from the initial pictures, they look nice and modern, comfortable. This would be $860 for a month. Looks like real nice size. Sometimes when you go to these countries that are hotter and not as wealthy, these Airbnbs won't always offer air conditioning. However, this one does, so that's good. I mean, if you're going to go to a place that's really hot, you need to make sure you're in air conditioning. So yeah, not a bad looking place to go stay for if you want to go stay somewhere for a month in Luanda, a reasonable option looks like. So I'm looking through the news, and there is some fuel issues. Looks like some gasoline issues. Let's check this out. So at least 22 people, including a police officer, have been killed and 200 others injured in protests against a rise in the price of fuel. 1,200 people have been arrested, and this started as a strike by taxi drivers against that hike in price. So it looks like previously the president had decided to raise the price of diesel by more than 33%. So, that shows it's really not a market economy. It's more of, how can you call someone a president when they get to just determine what the price is? Gasoline, diesel, oil, every part of an economy relies on the price of this. So they should allow it to be, let the market decide the price. And then from there, then the government can assist in reducing the price further to help the people, help the economy. But making the decision to raise it, and I'm not sure what the reason for the increase in price was, but basically that hurts people anytime the price of gas goes up, and then they're protesting from that. So I've only tried African food a couple times. Here's some examples of Angolan food, and I've been fasting for 7 days now. So I've only drank water for 7 days, and I'm going to eat later today. So everything on here looks absolutely delicious to me. I would, if you put this all on a table, I would eat it all. So I want to go back to the population for a sec. So in 2100, population will be 150 million, and compare that to something like the United States, which will continue to grow, but will be 420 million. How sustainable would it be for a country like Angola to have that many people? And that's going to create some real problems in their society when you have so many people. And with their climate, I don't think it's the most secure climate to try to hold a large population. So I'm sure that this this rapid increase in population is going to cause problems throughout the next century. I'm kind of interested in where they rank with military. Clearly, United States is number one by a lot. I mean, it's more than like the next 10 or 15 countries combined. What is the strongest African country? I would assume Egypt or South Africa. Here's Algeria. So Algeria is the only African country in the top 40, and Algeria is 20th. So that's actually quite a bit for we've already done a video on Algeria, but so Algeria is 20th. All right, so finally, after some digging, Angola is 85th. They spend a little bit over $1 billion a year on their military. So Angola's economy is mostly, or it's at least heavily reliant on oil. And it is a member of the OPEC. So other things, agriculture, mining. And I was reading they've had a lot of economic growth between 2001 and 2010. So here it is: reported annual average GDP growth of 11% from 2001 to 2010. So that's very strong. But we can see on the right here they have slowed down. So 2024, 2.4%, 2025, 2.8%. So that's more in line with the United States. But for a smaller economy like Angola, they need to continue that increase. They still need to be around 10%, honestly. Although the total rank is 66th, that's not too bad. But still, I think, especially if they have lots of oil, use that and then, improve your economy, improve the lives of your people so they can do better. Like I was saying earlier, they're not a market economy. They're a semi-planned economy. And so the central planning directs the economy with the participation of private enterprises. And that civil war did end in 2002. That's probably why they saw so much growth for the next few years after that. And then, lately, like I said, they've slowed down. And here, with the end of the oil boom, from 2015, Angola entered a period of economic contraction. So checking out their cost of living, as expected, it's much cheaper than New York. A meal that would be about $25 in New York is about $5 or $6 in Luanda. Milk is more expensive, and I think for most of the countries we've looked at so far, milk, everything will be cheaper except for milk. So I know places like Europe and the United States are big milk drinkers, and so I guess we produce a lot, and that keeps the price down. And I assume they're just not as into milk, so it makes it more of a luxury because they just don't really drink it as much, I assume. So apparently cigarettes are $19 in New York. They're $2.38 in Luanda. So if you're into cigarettes, Luanda might be your place. Internet costs a lot more. And, Angola is still developing, so something like the internet is still going to be treated as a luxury. And the quicker they can get the price of internet down and make it more available, then the quicker they can see that economic growth. You unlock the power of your people with the more internet they have. They can create, they can have, they can share their ideas. They can work for companies like in the United States, and then they can earn a salary better than they could in their local country. And so this is really, I think, a race that every developing country needs to try to win, is to increase the availability of internet, because it just unlocks the power of your people. Clothes in Luanda, all more expensive than New York. So clothes are not the place. You don't want to be trying to buy clothes in Luanda. Some places you go on vacation, you say, oh, well, I'll just pack small and I can buy clothes there because it's so cheap. But Luanda is not that place. Guys, thank you for watching. It's always interesting going through these countries with you. I always learn something when we do this. And look, they do the safari there. They have these special land features. So there's always, stuff that's kind of hidden to our eyes. And then when we go out and maybe make a targeted search for something, then we learn a lot.